Good morning. It's Rosalie with Can't Wait to Plan. How you guys doing? Okay, so today is our day for our monthly YouTube hop called Let's Get Organized. And this was organized by my friend Karen from Yes Please Paper Craft. The playlist of everyone who's participating is listed below. This month's theme is on let me see, dies, cutting dies, and embossing folders. But for mine, I'm going to throw in stamps as well, because as I organize the dies, some of the die set comes with stamps and vice versa. So I think it's probably makes sense to combine them. So first I wanted to let you know, to warn you that this video is going to be super long, because I'm kind of hoping to share with you my thinking process along the way, different systems that I've tried in the past that didn't work for me after I tried it, so that you can learn from the errors of my ways, right? And so on. So that way you can determine what would work best for you, because something that might not work for me may actually work really well for you, depending on how much stuff you have, the kind of space you have, and so on. Secondly, I am going to, right after this, you're going to see a couple of videos, and I kind of, blur them together, where I share with you the old system that I was using. This is only for dies, and the thinking process of how I came up to the current way that I'm storing my dies now. These were filmed probably a year and a half or so ago, so they're super old, and oh my God, when I watch it back, I sound horrible, but I didn't, I thought that it would still work, and I didn't want to redo it because I don't have the stuff the way it looks anymore. So you'll see what I mean, even the furniture that I change and so forth. So beware of that, but be patient, break it down into different chunks, because I promise you at the end, once I go through all of the way I do things, I'm going to do a shot of the actual system that I use in my craft room, and I think that you'll find it valuable to the way you may be storing things now. And anyway, have fun, and I will talk to you real soon. Hi, this is Rosalie from Can't Wait to Plan. I'm so excited to be sharing with you today my new die storage system. Let me tell you, I'm a little bit of a die hoarder. I don't currently own or know how to use a electronic die cutting machine such as Cricut or Silhouette, so I tend to get a lot of metal dies. And let me share with you how I used to store them, or how I was storing them. Some of the dies I buy from come already on kind of like a chipboard magnetic die storage board. So if so, I leave them there. Most of the time they're already hole punch, but I never really like them to store them like this alone, because there's little pieces sometimes can fall off, because right now I'm storing them in a 2-inch thick binder, and taking them on and off of the shelves, just I don't feel secure. So what I do is I have in my stash these really nice, very thick sheet protector that I used to pay an arm and a legs for, from a company named Century. I don't know if they're in business anymore, but they fit these cards perfectly, because they're not exactly 8.5 by 11. They're a little bit wider, so they can withstand the thickness of the chipboard die storage thing. And then that way, when I have that there, some of the die set comes with like a little instruction thing, and so on. And I find that many times I like to cut ahead of time, out of scrap paper and stuff like that, dies already, so that whenever I'm ready to do a card or a scrapbook page using these particular dies, I can take one of these sample and just use it on my page to see what it looks like. So I like it that way, and then I just put them in like this. Now, some of the dies don't come with these nice fancy chipboard, magnetic chipboard, so I get this thinner one from Amazon. I think it's a company called Magnetic or something like that. I will put a link down below. And that works well too, because again, like I said, I store them in the sheet protectors, and usually I label them. This is just so obvious that it's you know, squares, nesting squares, so I didn't do that. But that works quite well for a while. I had many of these binders, but what I find was they were just so heavy. I mean, I tried to organize them by theme, I alphabetize them, I do all kind of things, but they're just so heavy to take in and out of my bookcase. And so one day I was shopping at IKEA and I saw these very nice and sturdy magazine holder. They're made out of steel. I don't know what they're made out of, but it's metal. It's not flimsy like paper. And so I thought, okay, what if I store them like, you know, like a hanging like file like this, so that way I can flip through them easier, especially if I don't stuff them too much, then I can see a lot easier, and it's also easier to pull in and out. It's a little bit less cumbersome than having to constantly open and close the binder clips. So that was what I was using for a little while. I didn't transfer everything. I just started with 2 of these just to see if I like it, but I still didn't like it because, you know, I still have to take this whole thing over to my desk in order to pick them out, because it's just, you can't balance it while it's still in the bookcase. And then right now, my die cutting machine, I have one of those Griffin Empress die cutting machine that's electric, but it's stored not right by the dies were, so usually I have to go there. It's just not very efficient. So I'm right in the middle of my organization quest for my craft room, because literally it was propelled by the fact that I killed my craft desk, my 9-foot craft desk that used to be my dining room table with sleeves, and I literally broke it in half, as well as the floor, but the epoxy floor of my studio, because I'm actually using one of our 2-car garages as my craft studio, was starting to peel up. So it was looking really bad. So we have to change it. And I took the opportunity that my craft desk had collapsed. So I was able to take everything out from the studio pretty much from the middle of the room and had them change the floor. So while I was doing that, I really thought hard about how do I want to reorganize it once I start taking stuff back into the room. And so I was looking for ideas everywhere. I watched so many YouTube videos on die storage. Everybody does pretty much the same kind of thing. They put it in some kind of envelope and they file in, you know, in containers and, you know, fridge, I design containers and things like that. I look on Pinterest. I visited showrooms and the Container Store, IKEA, all these places. So I came up with an idea that maybe what I need to do is put them in, first of all, they probably should be movable, so like on a wheel cart of some sort, and that if I have multiple shelves, then I can put the die store into some containers that allows me to pull it out, and maybe it's just, and then I can have my die cutting machine right on top. So let me show you the first idea that I came up with after these. So this is the first solution that I came up with. I ordered this rolling cart from Amazon. It's actually quite nice. I like the wood tone of the shelves. The shelves look a little bit thicker, and it's on wheels. And I figure even though it's a little narrow, if I like it and it works, I could just order 2 and have them tied together and so forth. But what I did, I'm gonna come a little bit closer. It has 4 shelves, which is really nice. I put my electronic die cutting machine right on top. Doesn't really have place at the moment for the plate. So for the die cutting plates, I put it there. I do have a manual one down here, and I just took about 5 inches of 5 inches thick of my die in sheet protectors and put them into this container, wood container that I got from Michael's recently. And oh my Lord, it is so heavy already. If I figure I can flip, but if I were to pull it any further out from the shelves, it's gonna tumble over, and either that or I have to take the whole thing, which defeat the whole purpose. I would take the whole container and put it on my desk. So that didn't really quite work, and but because of that, it gave me the idea that really what I need to do is make this shelf pull out. So if I can store it on a container, it doesn't matter what or how heavy it is, but if I can just simply pull out the shelf instead of like taking the container off of the shelf, then it would solve all my problem. Well, the pull-out drawers, that sounds like a shelf, that sounds like something a kitchen cabinet would have, which is what we have in our kitchen. But I really didn't want to buy something. I could probably get a custom kitchen cabinet, have them build out some much stronger pull-out shelves that I could perhaps use for this purpose. But I really wanted to use something that I already have at home. So I looked around, and in the meantime, I had started to go paperless, or to try to go paperless by using an app and a software called Evernote for Mac. Actually, they have it for both Mac and Android. And so my file cabinet, which is really file drawers, that I got from IKEA about, at least 10 years, even longer, 12, 15 years ago, called Effective. And I had 3 of them. That's 1, 2, and the third one is right here. It's pretty much empty because I plan to I already got rid of at least half of the file folders, and the other half is just in the process of being scanned in or go through and dump and stuff like that. So I actually love these 3 file drawers. I bought them originally with an extra base, so that the base is very sturdy and it's not on legs. So it's really nice because it's meant to hold, paper. So it's going to be heavy. And I had all 3 of them stacked on top of each other. But in this process, I actually decided to create 2 units, because if I put the third one on top of that one, then it's going to be too tall for me to use the top of the cabinet at all for any kind of reasonable usage. So I don't know if you've ever looked at IKEA and some of their file cabinets, but for the most part, this is how it comes. To keep costs down, but to still make it looking nice and everything, what they do is they have like a drawer front, but it's just attached to a frame, a steel metal frame that's very strong, and it has these things that you basically pop in, so you can put your hanging file folders there. It holds two rows, and it can be both letter or legal, and it's very nice, but it doesn't have any side, back, or bottom to it at all, and that will not work for what I was planning to use it for. So I called my extraordinary handyman Scott and talked to him about what I had in mind. And basically what I need is a box that fits within this steel frame inside, not outside, because we still want the drawer pull to work, to fit it in there, but strong enough that it will hold these super heavy die. This is what he was able to come up with, and I was so happy about it. So basically, we found a bunch of wood scrap at home. This was from one of my old storage cube, and he had a bunch of these laying around the house. So he basically made us like a coffin almost, huh? It's a basic box. He used wood glue a lot of screws to screw the side together and so forth so that it's super strong. And he figured out that he could simply attach it to this concoction where originally IKEA had it attached the steel frame to the drawer front. So he drill some hole right there and use longer screws to screw that onto this. So this is what it looks like. We've done one drawer so far, and the others basically will be as soon as I said that it looks good. And so you see, this is the actual drawer inside of the steel frame and inside of the file cabinet. Yay! It looks so good. I have enough room to put basically 3 rows of my 8.5 by 11 sheet protectors die storage system, and it's actually have room for about 30 inches of storage, but that will probably be about 150 pounds, so I don't think I will keep that many in there, but I want to have some room so it can easily flip through and stuff like that too. So I will see how it goes. And also, you know, these particular units is not, you know, it's hollow wood, it's a particle board, so it's not super strong, and if we put too much in here, I'm afraid it's actually going to tip the whole thing over if I have it open, and so forth. And now on this beautiful tabletop, I will be able to have my die cutting machine, a organizer like a plate, the die cutting plate organizer thing. So I put all my plates there and everything else, and this surface area is big enough that I shouldn't have any problem at all. So I'm so happy. I was planning to do dies on the top. If there's any extra dies, I also have dies that are stored in 5 by or 6 by 8 you know, envelope, plastic envelope, and so on. So that should all fit in these 2 drawers. And whatever leftover space that we have here, I will also store embossing folder, which also utilize the die cutting machine in order to get it to work. So that is the plan. I'm going to pause the video and now go, hopefully take some time, organize everything into the cabinet, and also wait for Scott to come and put the other 2 cubes, you know, box inside of those 3 cabinets. Now on this side, you know how this side has 2 and this side only have 1. I actually have a bunch of extra shelf that's kind of the same material from other units and other things that we've taken apart. And so I'm gonna have Scott put together the exact dimension of so both this cabinet and this cabinet will be at the same height. So I'm just gonna have him make a box to put right on top of this unit. That way, when you look, you know, from far away like this, I'll have the 2 units planking the TV system. Okay, and then it's also it's a shelf more than a drawer. So then, you know, I can have places to drop my keys and, you know, my purse or whatever. I don't know yet, but anyway, it's going to be awesome. So can't wait to show you the final result. Talk to you soon. Hi, welcome back. Okay, so what did you think? Did I sound so weird? I know, it's so funny. Anyway, so let's get started. I actually filmed this part already, but when I was listening back to it, I really found it kind of confusing. So I'm going to redo the beginning part of this thing, which is going through over the supplies. So my goals for storing anything in my craft room is, I think it's threefold. Let me think if that's threefold or not. But anyway, the first one is to make it as consistent as possible. Because as you know, manufacturer products for the same type of products don't come in the same size, packaging, and so forth. And for me, that just the way my brain works, if I see things in different size, I find it's super hard to find things. So that's goal number one, is to put them in a system where I could consistently, for the most part, have the same size. Secondly, I find that most of us in our craft room don't use the vertical space as well as everything is tend to be more flat. So my goal, if possible, I try to get things to 8.5 by 11 as possible. I think that helps me use, even if you put these containers into the IKEA pack system, the cube, you know, it's the 8.5 by 11, it'll be taller and so on. So anyway, that's my goal. I know that for many of my things that doesn't work, but still I strive for that if it makes sense. And then let me see. And then the third thing, if I can think of, the third thing is I do want to, for myself, it's, I do want to know where things come from, and names and things like that. And I do like to keep like things together. So that's very common between all of us crafters. That makes sense, right? Like things together and close to the machinery or equipment or things that you use along with those. So I always have those in my head. And then of course, things as cheap as possible, right? Anyway, so I'm gonna go over, let me move these. I'm gonna go over the first of all, the container that comes in, I mean the storage envelopes, okay? Originally, when I first went into this, I might have seen this somewhere, or I just found it, or my friend told me, I can't remember, but I was purchasing these C-line shop ticket holders. They're 5 by 8, and they come in a box of 50. They're quite pricey. Right now on Amazon, it's $20, around $20, which means each of these envelopes are 40 cents each, which I thought was quite pricey. However, here, that makes it a little bit easier to see. However, they are very nice and thick, and I love it, you know, initially. They're a little bit too pricey, so I don't use them anymore. But what I do use them is I try to rotate them out of stuff I used to store in here into the later envelope, because they're much less price, and I save these to store things like this if I don't consolidate this with other star dies or other heart dies, which I probably will. That's why I have not even touched this yet. But if you decided to keep them in here, and for just a simple moment in time, just stick them in here. These are so skinny, and in the slightly larger envelope, they and also the larger envelopes, they're also a little bit flimsier. So when they're small like that, they tend to float around, which bugs me. This, it's so nice and thick and tight that you see how it doesn't really move at all. So this is this type of thing, you know, the one with the small stamp together, those be good for these. I also use them initially for to stick in my I didn't take out one, to stick in my AliExpress when they come. I have not finished AliExpress stuff yet. That's such a long process for that. But what I try to do is when they come, I try to stick it into an envelope. This one, I think it's coming from the same company or something. I stick it in here. If I have the chance, the label or where I got it from, like the date. Usually AliExpress is just the date, and then from that I can find it in my shop history for AliExpress. But at least it's in here, and it's not in just like a bunch of loose envelope like this. That's give me at least, again, the sense that everything is the same size, and then I can take my time, go through it, label it or whatever. So my goal is to get to something like this. If it can be bigger in terms of the 8.5 by 11 size, let's say, because I have a ton of star dies, for instance, then I would do it for that, like that. But if it's something that I thought would need to stand on its own, then it would just be like that. I have a template that I can label these. I try to have the photos, which is usually on you know, the AliExpress website. I put the size down. This one I even got as far as, you know, which store I got it from, when I bought it, and how much. Okay, so anyway, that's probably way too much than you wanted to do, but if you wanted to do it, and since you're looking it up to find out, to get images and things like that, I thought I'd just throw that in there, but I probably will change the way I do that. But anyway, that's what I use the shop ticket holders for now. Then I found, so about, I don't know, maybe 3-4 months ago, I decided that, first of all, because that they were out of stock, the C-line shop ticket holders, and they were out of stock for a long time. So I decided I'm going to go and search for a better solution, and maybe hopefully something even cheaper. So this was maybe 5 months ago. I bought a whole bunch of different, on Amazon, I tried a whole bunch of different sheet protector, approximately the same size as the C-line ticket holders. So this one I found were 5.5 by 8.5, which I actually like better. Anyway, but they didn't really have any bags, like storage envelope. The only one I found that was heavier weight. The other one that I tried and returned was just, they're so flimsy, and I didn't like it at all. So I looked at the heavier weight one, and this one is actually, they come in 200, a pack of 50. They do come in 50 size and 100 size too, but the 200 was the best deal. So they come like this, and as you can see, it's got the 3-hole punch. I'm not sure which binder this is for, but it's there. And the container that I use to store these products, that store in these envelopes, is not big, is not wide enough to have these. So I went ahead and I cut them down, so that way I just cut it just right outside of the perforation, so that way the bag doesn't get torn up. Okay, and I store a lot of my things in this. So for instance, this is how I store stamp alone. If I can store them in the 8.5 by 11, I would, but I think for stamps alone, it's kind of flimsy. So I went ahead and stored in the smaller bag. This one just have the both side, and I didn't do anything outside of just storing it into the Sam Seal storage or sheet protectors. Okay, and those were 200 for $17, so they're only 9 cents each in comparison to almost 45 cents from the C-line, and they're about the same size. Then I found out that I also need something, as I was going through this whole process, I also need some bigger envelopes to store. So I found, again, I researched, ordered a bunch of different ones, returned the real flimsy one, and I settled on Max Tag, which is a 6.75 by 9.25. You get 50 for $11. I checked not only the quality but also the price. So this one, at least for me, was the best price, the one that I was able to find, and that means they're 22 cents each, and they come with the flap envelope like this, which I don't like. I actually don't care for flaps, so I just cut it off, and now I'm left with a really nice bag. I like the fact that it has the little you know, thingy here. I don't know what, the lip, the lip here, so that it's easier for me to pull things in and out as well. So I really, really like that, and that was such a good price. Okay, now let's talk about the magnet sheets. Now, you can purchase a lot of the magnet sheet with adhesive behind or without, and you know, I'm sure you can use your tape ruler, what do you call those, the AGT tapes, and glue them down if you need to be glued down. That's up to you, but I actually didn't even check how much the price difference for this video. I didn't check, but basically these comes like this from Marietta Magnetic, and they are 8.5 by 11. You get 25 sheets for $40, which is quite high. I understand, you know, that's like, I don't know what that is. I forgot to divide up the price, but that's what I had started with, so that's what I do. And I was figuring that I need them 8.5 by 11 because all my sheet protectors 8.5 by 11. But and then I buy the chipboard for the one that needs a chipboard, and I do it on here. What I didn't realize also as the time I was doing it is when you make it exactly the same size as the background, these corner tend to peel up a little bit, you know, as they go. If you may want to reinforce it. And I think just like your scrapbook paper, it's actually better to have a border around what you do, like do it like this instead of doing it completely flush. So because of that, I recently tried the Craftopia 8x10. The 25 pack is $10 cheaper, so it's for $30 instead of $40. And just the little bit of an inch difference in the size allow me the $10 difference in price, which I really like. So what you do, they come, of course, adhesive as well. And here's my chipboard, and you see how it's really safe. And I think a lot of things, you can hang them off. You don't need magnet for the entire piece of die, right, or metal. So it's not like you can still use up the whole 8.5 by 11. That's not a problem. By the way, just, you know, I know sometimes either they're out of stock or I just wasn't ready to purchase more magnet sheet. More chipboard, because the chipboard I purchased, I buy it in as 100 set. And you can also use, you know, your shipping boxes that come with orders to you, and I just cut them up to use as, you know, as a makeshift, and later on if you need to switch them back, you just pull it off and glue it back onto the chipboard. Okay, so that's that. Now talking about chipboard, they are quite pricey because I did test out and I ordered a whole bunch of different weight to make sure they go from 22 point thick to 50 point thick, and the all 22, 35, whatever, they were just way too thin, and I really like the 50, but that's of course the most expensive one. So for this one, they do sell them in smaller packages, but the 100 chipboard is the best price. You can get 100 of these 8.5 by 11 50 point thick for $39, or basically they're 39 cents each. Okay, then I found that I also need so for the most part, that's the size I use, the 8.5 by 11. But I also find that for some die set, they're just a little bit oversized. So I do need the 9 by 12 chipboard as well. Now these don't come in 50 point. The heaviest I found was 46, which is still really nice, and they're expensive. It's 25 for $36, or almost $1.50 each. But I don't use this very often. The only time, so when the I love Anna Griffin, and a lot of her dies, some of her easel dies are oversized. So this one, this particular time, she had shipped it with the die storage system, which is very nice, but also extremely expensive. And so that's the 9 by 12, which is really cool, right? So what I did was I bought the one that didn't come with it, because she did that, and then she found that she has to charge so much more for the dies that a lot of people prefer just to get their own way to store it instead of her mailing it with the storage panel. So this one, you see, I used the 9 by 12. I just do the 8.5 by 11 magnet, and that fits just fine. And actually could even go down a little bit so it doesn't stick out as much on the top. Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, so that's dealing with the dies. Now stamp alone, I think I already showed it with the diamond press over there, but I also do this for the one that comes. Diamond press doesn't have a nice packaging. That's good because it keep their price down, but like Crafter Companion do. And so I take the die out of the envelope, and I just put the envelope here because it really does have a nice image of the stamps, and then I put the stamp in the back here. And you know, if you've actually, these you don't really need to stamp it ahead of time, because these images basically what you get, so it's not like you need to make samples. Now I did purchase, a lot of my stuff comes from HSN, and like for this particular set, it came with 6 stamps, and the stamps are smaller, so actually you could do probably 3 in one of these envelopes. I don't know if it would fit if I slide it sideways. I don't know for sure. It doesn't quite fit, so probably only 2 if I just trim that down here, the acetate, and then I can maybe fit two in a box, or maybe use a bigger envelope like the 8.5 by 11 sheet protectors. But what I found as I was thinking about it is actually right now I store everything by the company, just because to get my mind straight. But eventually I would like to get, like for these with the very specific theme, friend, I would like to get all of the friend type stamps or whatever all together in one place. So therefore I don't want to mix them, and you know what I mean? Because then hello, I have other hello, and if you mix them, then where do I store it? So that's what I did for them. Okay. And then for and then just this one, going back to the die a little bit, this particular die set from Crafter Companion, they were just small borders, and I bought several set, and I could actually store more than this and going into an 8.5 by 11. But what I found was I would really like to have this one. I actually almost made the card. I didn't glue everything together, but I cut the dies and I chose the paper and everything, and I just like to store that with this. So for the time being, I think I like to store it in the smaller envelope. Okay, so then talking about what do you call it, embossing folder. Now the one I have the most is Anna Griffin, and again, a lot of my products I purchased from HSN, and so they love to bundle things together because that's how they can get the price up. I mean HSN, they bundle the folders together, and they kind of come in the collection anyway. So what I do is I typed in what came in the collection. Okay, so I'll know, yeah, and so on. Each of like these 4 came in the same collection. So when you take these out, you have this information and the year it was done. I actually do a sample one because and I put the embossing folder in the back, because if you can see, you can't really see the images on the embossing folder very well. So it's better to have the design in the front. So that's what I do, and this is, as you can see, it's the Sam Seal storage envelope. It fits really nicely, anything 5 by 7. Most Anna Griffin embossing folders are 5 by 7. That's the size card, that's my favorite size card. So that's these, for instance. But she does have some of the older set. She does have the folder as well as a border. So I do store them together like this. I made the sample and I put it in front, and again, the system, whatever comes with this particular collection, I put them all together. So that way, in case I ever wanted to know or they are complementary to each other and things like that. Okay. So that's embossing folder. These are embossing folders from different companies, like Crafter's Companion. I actually show the back instead of the front. This is the back because it has a nice design. I cut out the name of the product, which is always in the front, and I glue it here. And then I just, again, do a little sample to put it inside. Yeah. These darers that I got, I think, back then from either Hobby Lobby or Joann or something like that. The packaging is pretty cheap, but I did cut out the front so I can see the design. I have not done the sample yet, so just leave it here. But if I do, once I've done the sample, then I'll take this and put it in the back. These tend to be the A2 size, which is, 4.25 and stuff like that. So I don't use these as much, but of course they're still useful. And then these I just got, so I didn't even do anything yet, but they're just 6 by 6 embossing folder, or 5 by 5 or whatever. I think they're 6 by 6, and I just popped the whole thing in there except for the thing, and this have the nice picture anyway, so I did it like that. Okay, so that'll help. And then with regards to slimline dies, slimline embossing folders, I bought a whole bunch of different ones, but I really like this one. This one is actually came as a seal envelope, or with it's come with a flap. I think I couldn't find where I put the rest of it, but it's a little bit longer, a little bit bigger than 9 by 12, because I wanted to buy these envelopes to store my slimline card in, the one I finished making and ready to be sold. So these are like 4 1/4 by 9 and by 10, almost like 10, right? So that's really nice. I just cut off the flap, and I haven't done any labeling or anything like that. I have not done the sample or anything, but the regular size slimline embossing folder works really well in this size. Okay, so that's how I store that. All right, so now the next part is the one I taped before, which you'll see how I do the various dies and stamp set, and then I'll show you in my room where I store all these stuff. All right, talk to you real soon. This video, or this YouTube hop, I'm gonna share with you 4 of the largest manufacturer of stamp and die that I purchase, because I know everybody's different, and the stamp and dies comes in different size, different whatever, but so I'm just gonna go over. Actually there's more. Sizzix I buy a lot too, but anyway, I'm just gonna go through the A, B, C, D. Okay, so AliExpress. This is for the most part what I used to do. I just try to get them into a folder, a envelope. So I cut my 8.5 by 11 thing in half, and put it in here. I didn't even have time to put labels or anything. Usually I will go back and figure out where I got it from, and how much, or the date and stuff like that. But because they come loose in a plastic bag, I just want them into something of the same size, because that's my goal. Any organization that I do, I try to get everything to a consistent size. For me, that doesn't drive me crazy, and also it's easier for me to flip through things and so forth. So this is all I've done for most of my AliExpress stuff. But then I noticed, like even like you see here and there, you may have, I understand it may come from different companies, but I could just label it, a small label with my label maker, but I should do more similar things together so that I don't have to. I mean, these are standard size for the small stuff, and I have the 8.5 by 11, but still, if you have a whole bunch of these, I rather put them together into 8.5 by 11 chipboard size, if it makes sense, right? So like tags, if I have a bunch of different tags from different company, it'd be great to just do one like this instead of 5 like that, or 2 like that. So I started to do that, and so I buy different bows, dies from different companies by AliExpress. Is I go like that, for instance, and I may even put down the manufacturer, not the manufacturer, but who I bought it from. But for the moment, this I can find it when I get down to it, and I just do it like that. And then so anyway, I started to do that, and I think that will help a great deal in terms of and I plan to also make a sample of each of these to put into a place where normally that's where I would go to look for what to use. So I hope that become clear in a second. But this is what I try to get to, and this is not even all of it, because this is still small. I actually don't know if I have, yeah, I do. This one, for instance, I got it from the same store, but they're 2 different dies, come in 2 different package, and I measured the size. I put them together because they're both Halloween, and I believe I did this one. I didn't get a chance to cut them up. I would like to cut it and put it inside here. So I have the example of it. Usually the one that comes in this size, the smaller size, the half of the 8.5 by 11, I put the sample right in there and I flip through there. Okay, so I don't have a big book for the sample book for it in a binder. I just have the sample inside the envelope as well. Okay, so Are you as confused as I am now? All right, so that's with AliExpress. Then this is what I was talking about in that initial video about my before. I used to have them in binders like this with dies inside of the book. So for instance, I would have, they would come, this is the kind of nice thick die storage that what do you call it, Anna Griffin provide with some of her dies. But so they have hole punch already, so I would just, let's say, put them inside here, and the instruction or the what do you call it, the idea sheet, I would put right in front, and then whatever I cut up as a sample, I put it right behind it. Okay, so that way you have the dies, you have everything. Again, as I mentioned, these binders become extremely heavy. I have so many of them. I run out of even shelf space, and they're just so heavy. It was just awful. Yeah. And again, with these, I couldn't leave them like that, because the small one, if you keep taking it on and off the shelf, the smaller piece that doesn't get magnetized enough, I'm just afraid that they're gonna fall out. So then I have to take these and I have to put them inside of a sheet protector, a thicker sheet protectors, and so forth. So it was a pain in the butt. So anyway, so I decided to go and keep them separate. So the one that are done, that are finished being labeled and so forth, I put them in the file cabinet, and the sheet, the instruction sheet or the idea sheet, I put into the book. I alphabetize it based on, let's say this one is by object, by type. These are all the Laurel one, and I try to go back now and cut out sample of the die. So like this one, I actually, it's all here. I could actually put it here, but I sort of put it all together. I just folded I didn't want to cut these sheet protector out because these are nice. And later on I could use that if I don't use this anymore. But you could have it like this, so it's one after another. Or for me, for most of the time, if I can, I stick it right behind it. So that way it's all just one sheet, okay? And so I have them for like the 4x4 sheet protector one, some of the smaller one, I put them into the 9 pocket one, and so forth, right? And then sometimes you just have, oh, and then I try to, for the larger ones, I try to make, you know, like the dies that it's just like a frame or whatever. I try to not only make the sample of the actual die, I try to use it in a card or something like that if I have time, you know, and that way it would be nice. A lot of the time I just use the idea from her, so I don't even, like, see this one, I just kind of basically almost the same, right? I don't worry about being too creative or anything like that. I just look at the sheet. That way I just use it once or twice just to make sure that it's good to do. And I don't even put it on a card, I don't think. These are just, actually that's is on a card, but this one I think is just a topper. No, it's actually a card too. Okay, so that's kind of what I do with my stuff now. In the cabinet, they are also alphabetized by object type, and so on. Okay, and I'll show you that in a second. So when I get a new set of dies, I decide whether or not I need it to fit on a 8.5 by 11, or can it fit, or 9 by 12, or can it fit onto the smaller 8 by 10. Okay, so these one I just did. This one is a new one. This is an older one, but they're both kind of Christmas greenery ornaments and stuff. This is a smaller version of the older set here. So these are basically ready to go to be filed in the die file cabinet. Okay. All right. So then that's Anna Griffin. We got AliExpress, Anna Griffin. Now let's go to what do you call it? Crafter's Companion. So for Crafter Companion, they do come, I mean, now I'm just going to show you one of them, but they do come in a lot of different sizes. Let me show you. I think I have one here. So like I initially, just like the way I did with AliExpress, I just sort of trying to get them into some kind of folder. So like for instance, they come on all different sizes. It's so annoying. So like this is actually 2. You know, I cut it out, I cut it up so that way I don't have too much bulk from the, I put the name of it that comes from in the front. I put the name of it up down here. I cut it up so it fits nicely. And there's these 2, and then basically there's also these 2. So these all do the same thing. They are belly band, okay, stylized belly band. So I actually think I prefer to put all of these onto an 8.5 by 11. They're all the same. No reason to have them in 2 separate one or even 4 separate one, right? But for the time being, I just want to show you what I had them on, and I just slowly will start to move them over as they make sense, okay? So these, they may change too, so who knows. So my for these particular one, they were bigger, so they came in a sheet like this. They always have the little flap here which have the name, so I cut that off. I glue it here so that way I can see just the photo of it and that, and then the die stay in the back. Now I did not even worry about putting a magnet here yet, because these dies are still sticking really well to the I think I only used this once, to the tape back here, so I left it there. But I did create these to be able to go into, you know, so they're all the same. I put a a color code up here for the company. So like I take the company color, which is purple for Crafter's Companion, and in this particular case it's even covered, but it doesn't matter because I wanted to have a name, the name of the product, and the dies, okay, and so on. So it goes in here. Whatever example I make, I will put them back here, right? So that's how it goes. Now, so those are great. Those are the one that's from the Sam seal. You can see that there's that that edge that I cut off the hole punch here. So those are the mediums. This one is the smallest. This one is slightly larger, and then the last one, which was the one that I can't remember, Matek, is the largest one, and there's one more size that I'm going to show you later. So for these, so this is the Matek one. So you see how these comes smallest, a little bit. This is a little bit smaller than this, not too much, but then this is much bigger. Now I could print these directly onto an 8.5 by 11 in the size, which is like 6 7/5 by 9.5, but then using my 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, cardstock, I would be wasting quite a bit of paper. So I actually decided to use 11 by 17 cardstock. They're not the they're not the thickest cardstock, but they're not crappy one either. Very, very nice. I can get 2 out of a sheet of 11 by 17, and I didn't have to throw away much paper at all. And because these are cut out already, it's a little bit harder to print. So what I decided to do to make my label is just to get all the names of all of them onto one sheet, and then I just cut it up and glue it on here. So I don't know if any of you have better idea for how I can do this faster. I don't have, at least I'm not techno enough to know whether or not I can make it so that my printer would take the size paper and so on. So that's what I did for this, and then that way I can go ahead and label all of these. Okay, so this one is a stamp and die set that comes with this and this. So let me do that one just for the heck of it, just to show you. Now normally I would do this with so this one is charming blue tip. Yeah, that's not a good name. Normally I would cut this up with my paper cutter, but for the time being, since I'm only going to cut up one, I'm just going to use a pair of scissors. And yeah, I already have the template to match exactly the size that I need and everything else, so it's for my envelope. Okay, so you can do the same thing if you're planning to use the exact same envelope. Feel free to email me and I can send you my template if you like. Okay, so now we can go in and I can just use a little bit of this glue, just regular. You can also use your, I haven't got my AGT. First of all, I ran out of AGT tape. I need to go buy some, and I plan to get it from like Tape Jungle or whatever. And then secondly, I still haven't been able to figure out what I did wrong the second time to load it up, because it doesn't work right now. So I just go all the way to the top, and that's it. You see, nice and simple. Now this one was not sized as well as I thought it did, so I'm gonna just trim there, and there we go. Right, done. And then I just get one of the envelope. I should have an envelope somewhere for some reason. I was gonna label these. All need labels, so that's why they're already in the envelope, but I don't need to label them on the video. No reason to. So now you see this one falls right there, and I want to see the image. This doesn't show too well, so I wanted to do this. This is gonna go in the image. Normally what I try to do is get rid of some of these, and just so that they're not double up in the paper, but this looks nice as it is. So usually I put the stamp in first, just because it usually have really nice, you can see the image of what you're making. And then this can go in the back. Now, if I don't want that in the back, if I'm gonna make some sample of these and color them up and put them in the back, I could put the die just directly behind the stamp as well. But for the time being, that's how they look like. Okay, so then you proceed to do with the rest of them. Okay, so that's what these were. All right, I hope you find this useful. Please let me know what you think in the comment below, and yeah, if you do like it, please hit like and subscribe, as I'm still trying to get to 1,000 subscriber. Okay, and then I found that I do buy some collections from Crafter's Companion, and usually they come with multiple dies and stamp and embossing folders and stuff. So what I decided to do, with whatever I have, I actually get these images. Either if they don't have it online, I scan my packaging in. Usually they have it already online, so I download it, put them all in the thing so I know, and then whatever sample I have, I will put in the back or include another sheet protectors, so that way I will know exactly what they look like. And then all of these, which all came in small, different packaging, 6 different packaging. Now, actually, I don't have the embossing folder here, of course. It's all on one sheet. Okay, so, and then I label it with Masquerade Collection. Okay, and then this is the one that's going to go into, right now I still store them kind of by manufacturer, although I think I will start combining them and do them by type instead of manufacturer. And so these will be in my binder, and this will get filed in the die file cabinet. Okay, all right, and then now we have diamond press for D. Now diamond press come in a lot of and they don't have nice packaging, unfortunately. They just have like an ugly white envelope, no images or anything. They just come like this, you know. It's too bad. So if you want any kind of imaging for the packaging or something like that, they don't even have it. You just download really the image of the product itself. So they come in a lot of different versions. They have things that are just dies alone. So this one particularly, I bought the candy cane alphabet. That was just from Christmas time. And even though they look kind of big, they all fit nicely on a half size of the, what is it, name for the half size of 8.5 by 11, 5.5 by 8 or whatever. They fit on here, so I label it. This is going to go into the area where I have all these sizes. They're not going to go into the file cabinet where I have my 8.5 by 11. And then this is the instruction sheet, which go into the binder. And then I did cut all of these out. I actually already back it with a pretty pearlescent cardstock, which is how I wanted to use it. And I glue it there. I cut it as much as I could, but I didn't want to cut them into all individual letters yet until I'm done. Now I'm kind of bummed that they don't have letters. Numbers, you know, because we may need numbers. Anyway, so this one is done. And then they come with dies alone, but a lot more dies. So this one, as you can see, has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dies. And that's a lot of die. I actually tried to fit it onto the 8x10, but it didn't fit. So at the end, I got everything onto 8.5 by 11. I did make a label for it already. So now I use a Brothers P-Touch, an old one. I think it's called, I don't know, 9500 or that series. It's super old. I'm dying to get a new one, but I'm not going to buy a new one until it breaks, right? My power cord did fall apart. So I did buy a new power cord, not from Brothers, because it was much more expensive. I just bought it from, you know, a generic one that would work. So now this is gonna go into the file cabinet. This one, they're called the nesting background die and sending happy. I got this at a really good price on the secret sales at HSN. I did cut out some of the sample. I didn't punch out everything yet, didn't have time. And then and so on. So this unfortunately didn't fit in here, not because I kind of wanted to cut a border with it, so that way maybe I use it for something else. So that's fine. So that's what's going to go into the binder. Okay. And then I cannot find the sheet for actually no. Okay, so then they have set that have this one called Beach Hut. I got it for $12. Normally it's $24. And this is how it comes. Okay, you have usually 2 sets of stamps typically. It has the instruction sheet. So I just go directly to my 8.5 by 11 sheet protector. I scan it in my computer first into the system, so I have an electronic version of this. I stick it in here. Okay, that gives me my idea sheet. Everything else, I take this out. I have a spot where I store all of the empty what do you call it, folder where you use with their manual cutting machine, which I do have. It's the Diamond Press something or another. I can't remember what it's called. And I do save these for the time being. I don't know why, but they don't take that much space. So anyway, that goes into that. And then here now you just have to judge what size things is going to go. So it seems like because of the stamp that it won't fit into the 2 smaller size, I need something to at least do it sideways like this. Okay, so I got this size, and this one would go into here. So then now when these go into here, I don't really label them. These is kind of, I wish they don't come in black. Black is nice, but most of the magnet is black, you know, so it doesn't show up as much as well as it if you do it in a different color and so forth. There's a company that all their dies come in pink. It's like, I think it's Pink and Main, but there's another one, maybe Creative Expression or something like that. That's like so cool. And then the teal one I really like too. The teal one is from Fun something or another, Fun Journey, that Spellbinders distributed or part of their company. I'm not sure what's the relationship is. So you just fit it as well as you could. I usually try to go with the larger die on the bottom and then the smaller one on the top. And that's it. Okay. And then if you want to label, just in case it gets separated from your envelope, you're welcome to, but I think you can tell what it is. So actually I do save this just because. So I usually put it right, because there's the tape here. I put the bag right on top of it, so that way it doesn't stick to everything else. And then I put it back into the packaging. Okay, so this, I may have to do this. And the smaller piece, I try not to put it at the edge. Okay, so that way, in case you do. And I just leave it a little bit of room here in case I want to label. I don't know yet, I haven't decided. And then I put it, this one, I'm going to put the die first, just because the stamp with the 2 level of stamps, it's just going to be very high. So now these, I'll show you what I did for another system, but for these, they're exactly the same. They fit well in the envelope, so I think they're going to stay if I stack them one on top of the other. So I'm not going to do anything to change it. I'm just going to put it in like that, and it fits well. And then this is ready to be file away in on my cart, on my die stamp and embossing folder cart, and then this go into the binder. Okay. And then same thing here. I already did it for the Christmas Village. I already got it labeled. Now this one, yeah, see, if I put the stamp in front, which I usually like to put the stamp in front, but this one I won't do it. All you have to do is flip it to the back. And this one, I like the fact that it came on one sheet already. And so now that's ready to go. And that's my box to be put away. So that's done. Yeah. Okay. And then I have, so this one I just got. It was on a really good sales. It came with a bunch of dies and stamp. And I did make example of everything. So I cut out the gift bag. It's just a simple shopping bag, almost like. I was bored one day, I was watching TV, and I used up a bunch of scrap just to cut out all these. They're so cute though, great for Valentine's. This heart, the word that say love, this word that say love. And I kept everything because, you know, you may want to layer it in, what do you call it, inset it into here, different colors or whatever. I got the word you. This is supposed to be stamped first and then cut, but I like it just like that. And some small hearts, and then I have some more of the, so I just had a bunch of scrap that I cut them all off. So with that, I'm going to include it with this, and that's going to go into the binder. Yeah. And then for the actual die itself, I put it on. I knew that I wanted to keep, because this did not fit on the small sheet, so I know that I would have to keep. I would love to keep the stamp and the die together. So I put it onto the 8x10. And for they had two, I love this. It's the 2 set of stamps, really nice, kind of big. And so now these don't fit as well because they're a little bit bigger for the stamps. So they kind of, a lot of time when I put them in these 8.5x11, the top one slide on top of the other. So what I did was I just took, so they're still separate, because you know how you have the image on the top sheet of the stamp, so you know where to put it back. So I still keep that on there, but I took a you know, you have these things that we save from from wherever the stuff come in. I have this lovely Fiskar big scissors that I've owned for a long time. Still works so wonderful. They cut these things so well. I don't want to ever cut these type of thing. I cut it once as 1 ply, but for these 2 ply and then with these weird edges, I don't like to cut that with my paper cutter, because that you're gonna ruin the blade. So I go ahead and use this and trim it apart, and then I cut it to whatever. Just make sure that it's smaller than 8.5x11 and still fit your stamps. So that's what I did. Okay, so I got a sheet of that. I think it was like around 8x10.5. I put both of them on there, and now this is gonna go in here. And I got my oh, I forgot to label that. Oh, did I label the wrong one? I labeled the wrong one. Okay, this one's supposed to be the gift bag, and this one was the nesting stamp. So this one is gonna go on top of here. The gift bag, Be Mine. And then this one is the Sending Happy. Okay. There we go. So then these, with the stamps, I do keep them in a sheet protector, and that's ready to go to be filed. I did the same thing with this, but I just have that idea with using the scrap acetate, so I did not do it with this yet. But I left it, you know what, see what I did? I didn't want it floating in here because they tend to keep doing this together. So I put it into a small thing and that stay. But I think I will change it into one, the scrap acetate that I have for this, okay? And then the last thing they have is they have these set that comes with stamp, dies, and embossing folder. Oh my gosh. So, and usually, so anyway, they have this, they have this, they send you these, which I have not used. It's way too thick. And they have embossing folder plus this one that you can, the blank one. And then they do send you like an envelope, which is, I don't know, it's too small for everything. So I saved these, but I haven't used it. But for these, I found that this envelope, which I kept with the thing on, these were a little bit more. They're let me see, they're $10 or $20 for 30, so they're like 67 cents each, and they're bigger than the biggest one that I have. And again, same thing, I would have the stamp in here. I would stack the embossing folder like this together, and they still all fit, okay, by the time you're finished. And then sample and stuff. If you want sample to be not ruined, you can put an extra sheet of paper in there on the back, and then that way all your sample can go in the middle. You know what I mean? Or all your sample can go in the back, and then you can just cover these up with another sheet of paper. So that's all that I did there. And I think I don't have an extra piece of so it doesn't even close because it's too thick, but it's just okay. I just tuck it back in here or something, and then as soon as I get the sheet, a piece of magnet in the half size, I will transfer these, and then we're done. All right, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. Here is the infamous file cabinet that I had help rejig so that I could store my dies. This is originally an IKEA file cabinet, as I mentioned. So let's take a look. So right now on top, you see that I have my fabulous and a Griffin Empress die cut machine. And, you know, so just some tools and stuff. I had this old computer, what do you call it? You stick your computer monitor on top or whatever, and it's gray. I wanted to paint it, but I hadn't had a chance. But actually, I just raised it up a little bit, and that way I had place to store my plates and you know, the long plate and stuff like that, and it's perfect. It's really good. It's actually also a better height to use the machine. I actually jig it with some the IKEA. What do you call these again? The board. I can't remember what it's called, but this board. I have one set up here, so I can add extra plates and things like that. But I think I may actually take it out and do something else because I want to have a little bit more space for my video table to move over. But anyway, that's beside the point. So let's take a look inside the cabinet so you can see what's going on there. As you can see, it doesn't tip over as I had thought it might, but inside I had it's quite full. It's not 100% full because I took some out to do different. I sorted it differently because I wanted to sort it by companies and stuff like that instead of, you know, for the time being I was just adding things where it makes sense. But as you can see, nothing falls off or anything like that. It's really, really nice. I only have some instances where I have to to use the sheet protector, which is when it has the stamps with it. I actually use this, just a plain 9 by 12 sheet to divide up in certain categories a little bit for myself, but I don't know if I really need it in the future. So you can see there's 3 rows of it, super nice, and so on. I did it in, this is all the shape and frames dies, and these are more like card dies, so something that makes album or make a full card. And these are alphabet and sentiment, and then by object. On the bottom, which I'm going to do differently, on the bottom I'll have some crafted companion dies and diamond press and so on, but right now it's just storing the stuff I still need to label and so on, a bunch of AliExpress. I have a lot more somewhere else, but I haven't gotten it in here yet. And then as I get them done, they'll be looking like this or whatever. Yeah, so that's these 2 cabinets. Then you see my TV here, and on this side, so going back here, you see where I actually did the 2 set on that side and then flanking by the 2 set on this side. Now I originally tried to I bought this thing to put it doesn't even, to slide in and out another drawer, but it didn't work. The bracket was too weak and so on. So right now it's just empty, and I plan to store different things. I always have, it's sort of a drop-off place right now actually, so I actually had to take all of that away just so that it looked nice for the video. On top, typically I have some seasonal display if I wanted to do a little bit of something cute for the room. And then on the bottom shelf, now I did not have another riser, as you can see down here, the riser that came with the 3 units, because originally I had all 3 stacked together. And so I actually just took some old wood stuff that I have, their particle board, and had my handyman make a makeshift things that's approximately the same height, and that way it raised it a little bit up the window. You see these were made from like scrap wood that I had. So in here right now I just have some big dies, and I started to set up to stock these by companies. I have not even sorted out anyway, just like crafted companion in here, diamond press in the back, and then some Christmas dies on this side. So that's gonna be all changed, but at least right now that's where it's at. Okay, I'm gonna stop and go to the other area. So this is another area where in my craft room where now I'm storing stamps, dies, and embossing folders. So this is a 4 shelves. Originally it comes with 4. I bought 2 of these. One was in the garage, so I stored 1 shelf from the other one and added. So this now have 5 shelves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. And on the bottom I have embossing folders. Now originally I was trying to make shift with stuff I have, and so I used to have some of these from Dollar Tree or 99-cent store, so I was storing them in there. But you can see that they're too short. They don't take the full advantage of the of how deep the shelf is. These are 30 wide by 14 deep, and so I think it's 14, something like that. So I had them in there. I even had them, the embossing, both of these shelves are embossing folder. I even had this one that I had, you see how short it is. It used to store, it's really nice. I had a few of these. It had drawers that you open and you can stack them on top. So I took that out and I was just using both of them to store different things. But yesterday I went to, yesterday and a few days before, I went to it's kind of stuck a little bit. I went to Home Goods and Marshall, and I found some of these kitchen bin. Now it's a little bit shorter, like not as high as I like it to be, but it still works really well. And I really like this. It's a little bit longer than the shelving, but that's okay because this shelving normally sit in front of this unit and I don't need to access what's in here too much. Because it's like Christmas and Halloween, and so at times, and I could just roll it out anyway. So I found that they fit quite nicely. So I got a few of those, and I'm going to plan to transfer those into here so that they look a little bit more the same. Then for the embossing folder that are the slimline, this is just another old container that I had. It actually had a lid. I went ahead and cut off the lids because it fits really nicely. As you can see, I had a whole bunch of diamond press one that I haven't been transferred to the storage envelope because I just got those. And then on the side, I have some of these rosette or border thing from the Griffin that's really skinny and tall. They're 12-inch tall, so I haven't done anything with those yet. And down here is just some other container that fits these nicely, but they don't look the same because I got them from like you know, Marshall or TJ Maxx and stuff like that. So anyway, but for the time being, that works well. Let's see. So then this shelf is stamps. Right now I have another one for stamp over somewhere else, but right now they're being organized. I have this one here, and I try to do by company. This is AliExpress and so on. Bow Bunny and Crafter's Companion and Diamond Press and so on. But these are all stamps. So I have embossing folder, last two shelf stamps here. It's going to be on this shelf, the third one. And then stamp and die set is going to be on the fourth and fifth one. So as you remember, I do the C-line storage envelopes and the Samsil storage envelope. The largest of those two is the 5.5 wide. And it's really hard, by the way, to find container that fit that nicely, you know, so on. But I did find some, so I got that. This one is the same Interdesign, the same company as the one I got as the same one as this one. But I found just one at Marshall yesterday that contained, like, it's a double whammy, and I actually really like it because it seems like it fits the envelope a little bit better. So I bought just the one that they had to try, but they still look enough the same. These were refrigerator bin that I got a little while ago. Nothing really completely matched, but hey, they're all clear and that's fine. And then the only one that I had difficulties with is this one. This one is the one that's quite a bit wider. This is the Matek one. That's 6 3/4 by 6 3/4 by 9 and a half tall. That means that the width of these have to be at least 7 inches to clear them, and they were fitting fine into these basket from Dollar Tree. But again, these are shorter. You see how it's short of the width of the shelf, so it doesn't take advantage of the whole thing, and it's in a different color. I only have a few in the light pink. Most of the one I have is on that darker pink too, so I really wanted to switch it. And yesterday at Marshall I found these bins. I got a couple of different style, and they didn't have a lot of any one style, but I can go to different store. This one was only $4.99. I found 2 of these and they fit perfectly. Same thing with this one. This one was $7.99, and then this one also fits, and these were 2 for $12.99, and they're all nicely deep, you know, so you see they flush perfectly. And so the size that fits it's like, so the shelf is 14 deep, so that's what I was trying to find. So right now I'm super happy with the way they work. Originally on top was the Stamp and Die in a smaller packaging I put on this shelf, and the one with the taller, wider packaging, I originally had it on top. That's at least the time being how it goes. So that's how I have most of my stamps and stuff, and I'll fill it up as I clear more stuff and trying to get them filed and organized. Okay, I think that is all I have. Right in the back, you'll see some shelvings over there. That's actually where I catalog all of the binders that have the sheets in them. So like you know, for the dies with the sample and stuff. So if they're in the smaller packaging, the card and the sample is in the same packaging. But if they're in 8.5 by 11, I store them in the binders and they're right there. So when I need something or trying to look for inspirations, or see what I have, they go there. I also started to use Evernote to catalog some of these, but that's going to take me a while to complete because I have so much stuff. So anyway, I hope you find this helpful. I'll try to link as many things as I can, but I don't know if I have time since the video is due very soon and I'm as normal late for everything. But yeah, try to check out everybody else that's participating on this YouTube hop down below. And I hope that you find some nice ideas to use in your craft room. And yeah, if you like the video, please share it and hit like, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so, or if you want to. And I will see you guys real soon. Bye for now.